all of the new teachers choosing us, as Doc told me, as we chose y'all. So fired up about this. Hope everybody is just excited as at least two people in this room are. And we're going to go ahead and get down to business. I know, just real quick, over the break, I sent you a little thing talking about, you just writing this English was going to give you problems. Schoology. So I'm going to model, and we talked about it a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and model it. You see, I've been working a little bit, and so I put up our day one on the calendar, but we'll get more into that a little bit later. But without further ado, we're going to start off with Audra and Caleb for travel and professional development.
Good morning. Much of your time. We just wanted to make sure that we go over the travel procedure so that we can make sure you get your reimbursement on time. And Kayla's going to kind of insert different things that I forget to say, so we're going to kind of bounce off this. So if you look at your sheet, the first thing that's going to happen, you're going to decide that you want to go to a conference. After you decide that, then you're going to complete that professional development travel request form. That form is on the BLE's website under a tab that says professional development. So make sure you fill that out. You'll get your press one sign off. If you're in CTAE, you'll get Coach May to sign off, and then you'll get that form over to me. Once I get the form, I'll send you another email back saying that it's okay to go. Now, what that email means, when you get the email saying that it's okay to go, that means I've checked the budget, we have the money to pay, and what you're going to kind of lines up with what's in our school improvement plan and what's in our district plan. So if for some reason you are not approved to go, you'll still get that email, but wait for that email before you actually attend the conference, okay? All right, so you're going to go to, wait for approval, register your conference. After you do that, make sure Kayla actually gets the confirmation, because Kayla's going to send a check. Alright, so make sure Kayla gets the confirmation so we know that you didn't change your mind and nothing strange happened, so that she can actually mail the check. You'll attend the conference, and then when you come back, those are the three things that we need from you. We need a mileage. Make sure your mileage lines up with where you actually went. So last year, when we were looking at some of the mileage forms, I think there was one form where the meeting was in Dublin, and they put like 60 miles and they live in Sandersville. So just kind of check your mileage and make sure your mileage is actually what it is, because Kayla actually checks that mileage. So make sure it's kind of in line with where you actually went. We need an itemized receipt. So if you go out to dinner, if you go to your hotel, any of those things, just make sure we get an itemized receipt so that we can get your reimbursement back to you. Make sure we get the itemized receipts and your travel and all that within 30 days so that we can make sure we process everything and then attach your agenda to it. And that's just about it. We want to make sure that you get your money, but we also want to make sure that we're following the procedures that the board has established and that the state has established so that we don't get in trouble with auditors, okay? All right, so are there any questions about professional development travel? Kayla, what did I leave out?
That was just real good basic. But if you have any questions, I'd rather you ask, call me anytime, email me. I'd rather you ask me before you travel than when you return and we can't reimburse you for, the expenses. If you have any questions, then like with the lodging, make sure you take the occupancy tax form because we cannot reimburse occupancy taxes. So there are a lot of rules and a lot of requirements from the State Department of local policy. But we're glad to answer any questions. We just rather you call us prior to travel so that you'll know the expenses are allowable and what we will do, if you have no questions at all. Always glad to help.
Any other questions or comments about travel?
And I believe all the forms are going to be on the website.
All the forms are on the website under a tab that says professional development. All right. Have a great year.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, Ms. Ramsey and the counselors, and we have to watch videos on suicide prevention and then a video on ethics. So we do suicide prevention. Two things that get you ran out of here, mess with those kids and money. Everything else, you might can survive, you might have a chance. You mess with them kids and mess up the money, and you know, you might as well hit the door. All right, ready?
Good morning. Good morning. Just all the procedures are still the same. If you want to make a purchase, you have to complete the requisition, and hopefully, I want to have them in at least by Wednesday, because everything that you turn into me, I have to type it up, and then I have to send it to Dr. Gray and get approved to get the PO number. And once the PO number is, I receive the PO number, I either fax it or mail it, whichever one, or I can send it back to you, and you can fax it or mail it, and I'll send you a copy letting you know that it has been faxed or mailed. And once you receive your product, your package or whatever, I need that package slip signed and dated. And a lot of times the packages will come in and we won't get the package slip back, and that's why we'll have to send you an email asking you, did you receive the product? Because if you don't communicate stating that you got what you need, we'll never know, and then we'll pay a bill and you haven't received your product yet. And we want to make sure that you have what you need before we pay that bill, because the bill is going to come whether you receive it or not. So I want to know that, make sure that you received it. And I'll do checks every Thursday. Every Thursday by 12, we'll do checks. That's why we need to have the requisitions in and the POs signed by Dr. Gray before we do the checks. I do that every Thursday. And if you know you're going out of town that weekend or whatever, you need to have that information in to me before that Thursday if you need a check. Because if I get it that Thursday at 10 or 12 o'clock, I can't get that check to you by that Thursday evening, because we have to go through so many steps to get that check done, and it has to be signed and approved by Dr. Gray. So help me out so that I can help you out. Get it to me in time so that we can get what you need, so that you'll have what you need for that weekend. Receiving money for meals, to go on a trip or anything. When I give you that check for those meals, you need to make sure that when you turn back in the leftover money, that you have receipts that match that money. Everything needs to match. The receipts need to match the money that you turn back into me, so that all of the paperwork will be correct. Collect the money from students or parents or whatever. You need to have a 3-copy receipt book, and if you don't have a copy, you can come to me and I can give it to you. The yellow copy, that comes to me. When you give me the yellow copy, the money and the copy, the receipts need to add up to the same thing. I don't need to have $50 in receipts and then you give me $25 in cash. That's not going to match. So everything needs to match. The student or parent needs to get the white copy, and you keep the pink copy for your record, so that in case a student come by and say, like, when I used to collect money for debts last year, the student will come to me and say, well, I paid such and such for this. If there's no documentation showing that that student paid, then we can't hold the student in charge saying that they didn't pay. We have to have documentation showing that they really paid that money. It's for your safety and ours and theirs. All money must be turned into an accounts receivable envelope. Like you collect the money for club payments. It needs to be turned into an account envelope so that I would know where to put that money. If it's not documented where to put the money at, I don't know where to put it at. And it needs to be able where I can read it. If I can't read it, then I still don't know where to put the money in. Then I would have to call you and ask you, and then that takes longer for your account for that money to go into your account. And once I enter the money that you turn into me, I put a receipt in your mailbox. And the last thing is Walmart cards. Walmart cards. Y'all see the email every month. I need receipts. We're not going to do that this year. This year you get the Walmart card on a Monday. On a Tuesday morning, I need to have that card in my office with the receipt. So at the end of the month, when it's time to pay the bill, I won't have to chase everybody down about where's the receipt, where's the receipt. So when you turn the card back in, I expect a receipt, a signed receipt for the Walmart card. And for every purchase, you must have a PO. You can't make a purchase without a PO. That's to protect me and to protect you. It has to have a tracking record, and that PO is the tracking record. So when the payment the bill comes in, I can go click that PO and the check is ready to be printed, and it saves so much time when everything is done in order.
Good. That's it. Any questions from Ms. Parker as far as the money is concerned? Please don't, make sure you receipt those kids when you collect the money. Because we have had instances where if they're paying for something, the kids swear up and down they paid for it. And if we don't have any record of it, then it's our word against their word. Now we have to proceed to file a violation, and now we have a problem. And these parents will run up in here and they'll say, I know he or she paid for it because I gave them the money. And we didn't give them, and if we don't give them a receipt, it just muddies the water. The Walmart card, I asked Ms. Parker to do that because we're just not doing a real good job of turning in receipts. With her being new at this, we need to tighten things up. Ms. West had those years of experience, so she was able to do things, but we're not going to put Ms. Parker in a situation. Everything's going to be dress right dress and by the book, so that you don't put her in a predicament, which puts me in a predicament. So use that Walmart card, go get what you're going to get, bring the itemized receipt back, and turn it in, and we're not chasing receipts. All right, we'll do school with you last. School-wide literacy initiative, y'all know we started that last year. That's still our academic focus. We still incorporate our reading strategies, but this year we're going to incorporate those reading strategies right into our lesson. We're still going to have a day. We're still going to have a day that we do it. You can do it more than that designated day, but we have that designated day to make sure that it's being done. If you look at the data speaks, and then we need to listen to what the data is saying. All of our reading, our Lexiles in the milestone increased. And Doc showed you all the reading stuff. All those statistics increased because we focused on reading. And the data showed that it worked. That it's going to pay off, and it's continuing to pay off. This year we do have reading enrichment classes, and like I said, we do not teach reading. We're not reading teachers. It's the reading enrichment class. We're not teaching reading. We're just teaching our content through reading. Now, there's a difference. So we're teaching our content through those reading strategies. So it should not affect or change anything that you're doing. The only thing that's changing is the technique, is what you're doing and the way you disseminate that information to the students. But just because it's through PALS or listen, read, discuss, or one of those other strategies, it should not throw you off of what you have planned for that day. You're just doing it through a strategy. So there's no reason to not do that, but we will, and Ms. Ingram's going to talk about the lesson plan format, but we will just incorporate. We did that last year because the strategies were new. We wanted to make sure that everyone had them, but it's not going to be a halt time thing. It's just going to be incorporated into your strategy. You can do it the day that you're laid on to do it, or you can do it several days. That'll be up to you. But we will continue strategies. As for our new teachers on the reading strategies, we'll get you all familiar with the different strategies. We put a lot of emphasis on quad text sets this year because quad text sets is what gives students the prior knowledge. It's the prior knowledge to whatever it is that you're about to teach. If I take the example the guy used was like baseball. If I've played baseball and I've got a lot of experience in baseball, and through prior knowledge I know all about baseball, and I'm not even really a great student, but because of my prior knowledge, I can take that student, and that content is going to be a whole lot smarter than your smartest student when it comes to baseball, because they have the prior knowledge in it. And it's no different in anything else. They get a better, you comprehend stuff better, you learn things better when you understand what it is that you're doing. And that's what those quad tech sets do. They give you little, whether it's a video, whether it's whatever, it's things that you do to introduce prior knowledge to the students before you get into your lesson. So we'll talk more about that. The reading enrichment classes, if time permits, after this meeting, if you have a reading enrichment class, you just stay over. We're gonna talk about what that's gonna look like. All right, but you're not gonna be in there teaching reading and phonics and all that kind of stuff. Because they up here and can't read, and that's a real issue. Halt time, we're gonna go back to the original halt time. The halt time where that time is used for looking at your data, differentiating instruction, catching kids up, accelerating students. So we're gonna go back to the original halt time that we did before we changed it to these reading strategies. And I'll send that out to you if you don't remember what that looks like. But that's gonna be our halt time. Back to, yes, sir.
Is it still one whole period, one whole
The whole
day?
day, yes, sir. Be a whole day that you'll be doing that. Remediating, looking at the data, remediating, whatever the kids need to catch them up. Lesson plan. Okay, we looked at our lesson plan format over the summer, and while Ms. Ingram is getting straightened out, we looked at our lesson plan format, and we also looked at our grading. And what we found in our grading, I talked to a couple of teachers and kind of got their idea on this, but what we were looking at our grading at 60, and to be honest with you, Mr. Ferris talked about this at the end of last year. But what happens when you're in the year, you can't really make a change, but the seed is planted over the summer. And what we were doing with a 60-40, now we left AP alone, because I don't know enough about that to really, I need some help on that. We left the AP grading thing alone, but when we looked at the amount of, you had, the classwork was 60%, testing was 40%. Then you had another 20% testing with the 2 semester exams. So 9 weeks of, the first semester was 20%, second semester was 20%. Then you had another 20% on the milestone. So 60% of what a kid do every day only counted towards their grades. And 40, 60, 80, I mean, it was up there, was all on testing. So we looked at that, and I talked to a few teachers, and what we're gonna change the percentages to 75-25, 75-25. Semester exams will be 15. It'll be in your hand. Semester exams are 15, and then SLO and milestones can continue to be 20%. So basically what that means I think testing, that means testing what, 1/3 of what the kids are actually doing every day. So just looking at that and looking at that, we were putting a lot of the majority, I mean, overabundance of the kids' grades were all on tests when you look at the whole thing. You look at them at parts, it don't seem too bad, but then when you put them together, a lot of it was tested. You ready to see?
Okay. All right. After we met with Dr. Hinton this summer and we went over our test scores, you guys saw where our reading improved 31%. Our reading was a huge improvement. She's got several areas she wants us to work on. She wants us to work on technology integration. She wants us to work on using our reading strategies throughout. She also wants us to work on using our formative assessments correctly, not just going into class, teaching the class, giving a ticket out the door, letting the kids leave, and then you give them a grade tomorrow. She wants us to make sure that we're using the assessments. So in order to do all this, if you look at her slideshow that she gave us this morning, one of the things that SACS had a
problem with was we were being rigorous in our classrooms, we were using technology, but according to our stats committee, we were not using our technology and our rigor to the extent to move our students and our test scores to where they need to be. We were trying to get there, but we're just not there yet. So, at this stage of the game, what we have to do is, because of all of this, we have to start documenting. And when I say documenting, I mean documenting like everything we're doing. We have to be very, very specific. We have to document to the extent that not only are the students walking in the room and seeing all of this, but parents can look at your lesson plans on Schoology, administrators can look at your lesson plans, walk into your room, and know exactly everything that's going on. Okay? All right, so, and we have had teachers give their input on this, and we appreciate it. It's been very, very, very helpful. So, taking advice from other teachers and so forth, this is what we compiled together. It's basically the same lesson plan that we've had before, except we've added to it. And what we've added to it is actually the same thing that you're usually doing. We're just breaking it down a little more. All of the stuff that you guys have on your board, all of your framework, all of your language of the standards, basically once you do this one lesson plan, it's going to be so explicit that you can just take your lesson plan, put everything on your board, and everything's done for you. You're not doing a lesson plan and then standing in front of your board and creating your stuff. It's just all done at one time. So, with our new lesson plan, you're going to have your teacher, you're going to have your grade, your subject, and you're going to have your names. Okay? Then you're going to have your standards. The only difference with the standards is sometimes we have standards that are really, really long and in-depth. And teachers tend to put like 10 of them on there. We know that you cover probably 10, 15 standards sometimes in one class period or 2 days. We get that. But what we're looking at are these focus standards. We're looking at what you're mainly focusing on. Even if you're hitting on several of the other things in your class this week, we're looking at the main things that you're teaching. If you have a standard that is 3 lines long and you're focusing on just one part or one line, then just focus on that one line. Okay, so that way it's easy to read and it's easy to understand, and then when parents read it, they also know what's going on in the class. All right, then we're going to take our standards. After you take your standards, you're going to have your learning targets. And most of you already have this on your board. A lot of you do. It's just not in lesson plans. Some people have it in lesson plans. Some teachers don't. So we're trying to get everybody on one unified lesson plan, okay? So those of you that have it, you continue with it. Those of you that don't, this is another added component, okay? These are our I can statements. Remember, these are student-friendly. These are in the language where the students understand it. They're very simple, okay? And I've done an example, so I'm going to show you an example. This is going to be emailed to you. I'm also going to email you the example so that you can look at it. All right, also, Dr. Gray has talked about raw time, the standards, the language of the standards. That was our 2 biggest components. That was one of our key targeted areas as to why our students are not at the mastery level on the milestones. Not that our students don't know it, not that they don't hear the content in the class, because they do. They just don't understand the way it's asked on the test. And there are 2 components that are going to help us solve that problem and break it down. And that is our content vocabulary and our directional vocabulary. Okay, so now we are going to input those in our lesson plans as well. Okay, all right, now down here on our lesson plan format, the same thing. You've got your day, you've got your procedure. Your procedure is the same. It is your warm up, your opening, your work session, and your closing. Okay, Dr. Gray is going back to the 10-minute closing bell. That's going to help us with our formative assessments. You guys remember we did that several years ago. We had the 10-minute closing bell. It kind of got everybody to wrap things up. Students did their formative assessments and so forth and started working on that. He has chosen to go back to that again this year so that we can make sure that we are actually using our formative assessments and doing them daily. Okay, now, once you have your warm-up, your opening, your work session, and your closing, like I said, Dr. Hinton's really big on this technology thing. Also, we're in year 2 of our Striving Readers Grant, which means that it's already been initiated and everyone has practiced it. So now we just have to start using it on a daily basis. Doesn't mean you have to use reading strategies every day, but when you do use them, some of you use them 4 times a week, some of you use it once a week. When you do use your reading strategies now, you're just going to put it down here so you get credit for doing it. For example, if Mr. Bates or Mr. May or Dr. Gray or I are doing walkthroughs and we're looking specifically for reading to relay information back, then when we pull your lesson plans, we can see the exact days that you're doing it or the exact days you're using technology and know that those are the days we want to look at, okay? All right, so when you do technology, you're going to input in the box wherever it lays, okay? You're going to put that in the box and you're going to tell us what technology you have used. After that, if you've used a reading strategy for that week, you're going to go in and tell any activity they did with it, but you got to be specific with it. If they're reading an article on the Cold War, don't just say PALS. You can say PALS article relating to Cold War. Okay, just be specific about the materials because again, parents are going to be looking at these and we want it to be easily understood by the parents as well and the students, okay? Now, assessments, when you guys give a formative and a summative assessment, even if it's something as simple as a ticket out the door 1 through 5, just list it over here in the column, but list that you gave the assessment and list what you're addressing. If you're just looking for something as simple as character motivation or causes of war or word problem solving, that's fine. Just list it and be specific in it. So like I said, so you're actually getting credit for the stuff that you're doing in there, okay? All right, then Hawk Time. Whatever day is going to be your designated Hawk Time day, you're going to take your activity and you're going to list it in that day. And when you list it, if it's Wednesday, put it in there, list it as your Hawk Time day. You're going to list your activity you're doing with your warm-up, your opening, and your work session and closing, and then list how you differentiated in that day. Okay? Like I said, a lot of these ideas came, some of you took your own lesson plan format or the format that we have for Ms. Gilbert and tweaked it, and so we just kind of compiled some of them together so that everybody knows the same thing. Okay? And if you'll go to the other word. I'm going to show you, it's really simple, but I did an example for you guys, and like I said, I'll email it to you. Right here. Okay, here's an example. Like I said, same thing you're doing, but it's just more broken down. Here's one I did with 12th grade British Lit. I just put one standard so that it was easy to understand. Yeah, use it in there. Right here, larger. Okay. All right, and I highlighted here because these were notes that I tried to put so that you guys could understand it. Only the standards or parts of the standard that you're going to be addressing so that it's easy to understand because like we said, with these new standards and Georgia Standards of Excellence, some of them are really long and they cover 5 or 6 things in one standard. Okay, the standard here was going to be to determine 2 or more themes or central ideas of a text and analyze their development over the course of the text, including how they interact and build on one another to produce a complex account and provide an objective summary of the text. Those are kind of 2 different standards here, okay? So when I move down, if I'm doing my framework on my board for my students, these are just some examples of learning targets that I would post when I'm doing my framework. One of them would be I can analyze a text for 2 or more themes and analyze the development of the theme. Another one, I can identify how themes build upon one another and produce complex accounts. And then another one, simple, I can provide objective summaries of a text. Just so that when the student sees that, then they know that day, this is what they're going to be working on. Now, down here, this is the stuff that we need to be basically talking every day. They need to see it on the framework, they need to hear it in the class, they need to see it on their assessments, they need to see it in their activities that they're doing, okay? This is content and directional, okay? Like I said, we focused on this last year, but we just didn't, hit it in depth. Content vocabulary, if you take my standards that I just had up here, these are the things, or like the nouns they're going to be working on. So if a student comes in my 12th grade class, what they're going to work on this week, going to be themes, central ideas, development, course of a text. And remember guys, these might be words that are simple to us, but some of our students don't understand some of these words. Like some students, even in 12th grade, have no idea what course of a text means. They have no idea that that means from beginning to end, or from paragraph to paragraph. Okay, so as a teacher, I would have put that in there so that my students could understand that. Then interact, when they understand what interactions are with people, but they don't understand how one thing interacts with another. So I put interact here, complex account, objective summaries. However, if I'm going to be reading Frankenstein this week, some other content words that my students did not know that I know they're going to hear all week, I listed those in there, but that was for my benefit. Like I said, this is to make it a little bit easier for you guys. Three of the things that I know I would have to reiterate as far as content vocabulary words would be creation, alchemist, and Gothic literature. Because that is things my students, even though it's not a content word in my standard, it is a content word that is going to be engrossed in my class for the week. Okay? Then if you break it down over here, you've got directional vocabulary. And the reason Dr. Hinton wants us using this is because these words right here, this is exactly what they see on the milestones. They don't say what is the theme. They say analyze the events of the text and create a theme, or produce a theme and provide evidence. Okay? That's our problem, is our wordage here. Okay? So my directional vocabulary for my standard would be determine, analyze, build, produce, and provide. And then I listed here any other skill words that you think your students might need to know. Based on the activities that we would be doing in class, my students would need to know words like summarize, infer, or cite. Okay? Maybe something as simple as when they're leaving, before we even start the book, look at the front cover of the book and infer what you think the book is going to be about. Okay, just something simple, but still these are words that we have to use more often that the students don't know. And I know we know them, but they just are not exposed to them as much. Okay? All right, scroll down. Now, here's an example to show you, like I said, this is pretty much what you're already doing. It's just not listed in our lesson plan. But on Monday, my procedure for my warm-up, I would put that we were going to discuss the wordly wise vocabulary words of the day and answer the warm-up question. I listed my question. What are themes? So that when a parent looks at this, you're not having to ask your child, what was your warm-up today? Did you understand it? Did you not get it? Okay? So I listed what my warm-up would be. I moved down to my opening, review themes and read sample passage and identify one theme of the passage, discuss how the passage relates to Gothic literature and identify characteristics of Gothic literature. Then I listed my work session. Students will read chapters 1 through 2 using the PAL strategy. Okay, then for my closing, which is 10 minutes, I just listed that my students are going to complete a ticket out the door, questions 1 through 5, maybe using Google Form, because it compiles my answers for me. Okay, it's just it's a lot more detailed than what we're used to doing. Okay, and if you slide back up, for my technology, I might not have done a lot of technology that day, but I did use it when my students did a ticket out the door. So get credit, like I said, get credit for what you do. So list that in there, okay? So for technology, I just put iPads. Students will complete an assessment using Google Forms. Okay, reading strategy. We read PALS, we read Frankenstein using PALS. So I listed PALS, read beginning chapters of Frankenstein. I did this here, SRI Test 1 groups, because you know we give the test 3 times a year, so they have different groups based on their results. And then for the formative and summative, I did a basic ticket out the door, but still I made sure I was specific for parents, and I listed it was a formative assessment and the ticket out the door questions 1 through 5 using Google Forms. And I even listed so the parents could see what they took it over. And it assessed areas of Gothic literature, theme, and central ideas. Okay, and like I said, this too, guys, once Dr. Gray talks to you about Schoology, this right here answers a lot of questions for parents, and it covers you also with that communication area and parents not knowing what's going on and so forth. If it's all right here, then they know what's going on. Okay, and like I said, this is going to make it easier for you guys when you're doing your framework and stuff on the board, because once you complete this, then everything for the week is pretty much done. Okay? All right, and I'm going to email you guys a sample of this and the example so that you guys can look at it and go through it. But any questions about this? And like I said, thank you to those of you that had suggestions, because it was very helpful. That's it. Any questions? No? Okay.
All right. I sent out the, how many at least watched the introduction video for Schoology? Did everybody watch the video? I appreciate your honesty. Appreciate your honesty. We're going to watch it right now. I tried to flip it. Basically, get into it for a little while and you need to re-energize, you go to a coach's clinic. You go to a coach's clinic, you learn different things, even though sometimes they're saying the same thing, they just may be doing it just a little bit different, or you hear something and say, you know what, I can use that drill. Same thing in teaching. If you start getting a little bit in a routine, you need to go to like a staff development or some type of professional development or some type of workshop that's relevant to you and what you do, and sometimes you'll see things that could help you. So we went to Dublin. I was supposed to go to Valdosta to the actual. It was a Scribe and Readers Conference, and I was supposed to go to Valdosta, and Dublin did a mini one. And so when I sent in my paperwork to go to Valdosta, it got rejected, and I was told I need to go to Baldwin, because it's closer. But things happen for a reason. I firmly believe that, because if I'd have went to Valdosta, all we would have talked about was reading strategy. But when I went to Dublin, which was a way scaled down version of the reading strategies, they had a couple fillers in there. And we went to the class, and Schoology was one of the fillers. And this is kind of what this is how he introduced it. He said, do you hate these things? I lost a handout from yesterday, and I have another. Catching up students who missed way too many days of school. Carrying a large amount of student work around, leaving students behind who clearly aren't ready to move forward. Go-getter students run out of things to go and get, and when is this due? So immediately, it got my attention. I was like, okay, what is this thing here? And I started thinking about this, this applies to us. So then he clicked on all right. He clicked on, would you love it if? You almost never needed a copy or print again. Students were responsible for their work, even if absent, or given if they water main breaks, or even if they water main breaks. Tests or quizzes graded themselves, allowing students to assess class material an infinite number of times with one click. Students could collaborate to answer lingering questions before coming to you. You could grade essays on your phone. Parents are automatically alerted if any impending or missing deadlines. So that piqued my interest a little bit more. So then I started thinking, okay, how does this apply to us? Then said, so because Schoology does all of that and more. So as he continued on with the class, and it was several of us there, and as he continued on with the class, then my brain started, turning, and I was like, okay, these are the things that we do. We hang student work on the wall and write commentary. We do walkthroughs, and we have to keep a notebook that if you do it right, it's probably about that thick. And we put things in there under all 10 standards, and we insert things in there all the time. We try to do differentiation. We're always thinking about ways to differentiate and ways to, how do I keep with my pace, but still differentiate and keep these students going the same time. We always need more time. We always got to communicate with parents. We always have students losing things. We got to send work down to ISS. God forbid if a student gets sick and they're out for a couple of days. Now we got to compile all of this work and send it to the front. Or if they're out for a few days, then we got to do makeup work. And then if they go hospital homebound, we got to every week The hospital homebound teachers going crazy because they can't get work, and the teachers are going crazy because they got to stop everything that they're doing and get his work to them. So I started thinking about all of that, and the more he talked about that, y'all, this is a learning management system, and it does all of that for you, okay? In that system, there's a place in that system where you can comment on student work, okay? Good, no more work on the wall. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, well, if we can do this in the system, why do we need to do work on the wall? I thought y'all be clapping about that. So then I thought about, well, we look at our handbooks, we got student makeup stations, okay? If a student is absent, all they have to do is go to the Schoology and they can do their work, no more makeup stations, okay? If a student misses an assignment and we gotta call a parent, we gotta zap them and all of this kind of stuff, well, if the parent gets the student's code, then guess what? That parent is notified that that child is missing work, okay? So, Remind One-on-One, you can talk to the kids all the time. And those of you that love Facebook, which I don't have a Facebook page, it's set up just like Facebook. So I'm like, well, I know some of them love Facebook, and they spend a lot of time on Facebook, so it's kind of set up the same way. Then I thought about, okay, we got those standards. We do those walkthroughs, and we do the TEKS and the TEKS evaluation, and we got those standards, and we need artifacts. We need artifacts. Well, if we keep this management system up to date, then I don't need artifacts. As a principal, I join your group, and I can look at your stuff every day. So now, why do I need that notebook? So I'm thinking, so I'm saying, okay, check that notebook off. Then I'm thinking, when we have a faculty meeting, we have to bring an artifact notebook to the faculty meetings, which saves us, which really, when parents put it, well now, if I have a faculty meeting here and I pull up Schoology, then all the information I need for the parent is right there. Now, and the only thing that I have to do as a teacher is keep my Schoology account up to date. If I keep my Schoology account up to date and I input all of that information, then no longer do I have to put work on the wall. No longer do I have to do that notebook. No longer do I have to compile work for a student that's absent. No longer do I have to compile work now for a student that's on hospital homebound. And I'm even going to take a step further. I can get some computers in ISS. No longer do I have to send work to ISS. They can pull up that computer, look at their Schoology account, and they know exactly what it is that they need to do for your class. And oh, by the way, when I do it, I can upload it and send it straight back to you. But we have to keep it updated or it's not going to work. And that should give, and that's why I was so stuck on this. So I sent you all, I flipped it a little bit, but y'all did just like the students and didn't watch it. But I just, what I did, I just kind of put this in here, and I'm just going to do, oh, maybe the wrong one.
Ever wonder why it's so hard to manage your daily teaching tasks? Even with all the available technology, you might be overwhelmed. using one system to post assignments, another to record grades, and yet another to maintain your calendar, all while relying on email to communicate. Well, now there's a simple way to manage your classroom. Schoology streamlines your workload without slowing you down, so you can spend less time administering your tools and more time teaching, communicating, and collaborating. And it's free. Schoology lets you organize your courses, post content for your increased student engagement by hosting interactive discussions, and grade your students on their participation. Your students can even take online tests and quizzes directly within the platform, allowing for immediate scoring and analysis. Schoology makes collecting homework easier than ever. Students can submit their assignments into an online Dropbox, where you can provide one-on-one feedback and track revisions. Student activity is automatically captured, saving you time as you record grades, manage attendance, and assess student performance. The secure platform connects classrooms for shared learning, whether they're down the hall, across the country, or around the world. It also facilitates professional learning communities, providing a forum for the sharing of resources and ideas, as well as private teacher-to-teacher communications. It supports learning beyond classroom walls and long after the dismissal bell. It's more than just a teaching tool. Schoology is an entire toolbox. So why not sign up for your free account today? Schoology. Learn together.
I would say that Schoology is my best friend.
It is fun to build a Schoology lesson. Anytime you're investing in creating new material on Schoology or adapting old material to Schoology, you're going to earn that time back tenfold.
We started using Schoology freshman year, and we use it like all year round in every class. Like, it doesn't matter if you're in gym or health, like it's still a necessity.
Schoology makes my life so much easier, day in, day out. It doesn't matter what kind of assignment you're working on. If you have Schoology, there are at least 3 or 4 ways that Schoology can make that assignment better.
In Schoology, do me a favor, you can flip your iPad over again. In Schoology, go into today's folder.
I'm very excited by the fact that my role is changing significantly as a teacher. I'm able to really anticipate challenges, really anticipate where students might struggle, and provide a wealth of resources in Schoology that students can then access, and they can self-teach, and they become more the drivers of their own education.
So we're going to go into Schoology, and we're opening up Hello Mood and Theme. This time it's not a PDF.
On an average week, we probably get like 6 or 7 sheets of paper, and I'll probably lose like 5 of them. But it's all on Schoology. I can't lose my whole Schoology account.
I think the biggest value of Schoology for me is the fact that I'm able to use technology as a catalyst for education. Before, I had all my folders organized with a lot of paper copies, and now I have a hub of information where my students can go and see everything's together. So it's really taken my education and my teaching from, I think, being an okay teacher to, really improving myself as a whole.
The students love the independency of Schoology, how they get to choose which assignments they do at what time.
It's a very organized way to communicate with your teachers and your school. And you can read about what your classmates are writing about, and it's really interesting to read what they know.
We have teachers that they've been able to connect not only with other middle school teachers in our district, but also around the state and around the globe. It's really expanded our students' horizons.
It's about the experiences that our teachers build for our students. Schoology exposes them to something that I think they're going to be using for probably the rest of their lives, both academically and professionally.
Schoology has made a giant impact. It allows me to gain a new perspective on information that I never had before. It was probably one of the best programs I've used in my high school career.
Whether there are economic differences, but also if there are ability differences, Schoology and the use of technology allows all of our students to be in a much more level playing field and learn in a personalized manner.
We want students making decisions about their everyday learning for themselves. making choices about the pace that they are going to learn, the activities they may choose to do. Most of all, we want them active from the beginning of that class to the end of that class. Schoology offers us the opportunity to build that way.
As a teacher of 16 years, I have seen a lot of programs come and go. When I first heard about Schoology, I thought, man, this is going to be one of those programs that comes in and goes out. And when I started to see the power that it had in other teachers' classrooms, and I thought, I want that in my room. And slowly but surely, I started using it, and it is amazing. There are so many different pieces to Schoology that allow you as a teacher to interact with the students, interact with the parents. It's pretty powerful.
Welcome to this teacher tutorial.
There's a whole, you got the tutorials and things like this, and basically, I went in over the weekend and I set up groups, and I have groups, and pretty much how it works is you sign up, and then it gives you an access code. And then, we've already done it with our new teachers, we did it the other day. But you sign up and it gives you an access code. When you get that access code, then you, when you're just talking about groups now, then you will send that access code to the administration. Then what happens, we will join your group. So right there, when we join your group, then we can see what you're doing with your group. I'll give you my access code. Like all these people here, they're in my group right now. And see, these are the people that's already in my group right now. So we're gonna sign up. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to the computer lab. We're gonna get everybody that's not signed up. We're gonna get you signed up. And I'm gonna give you my access code. When I give you my access code, you're gonna go to group, and then you'll hit join, and then the code I give you, just type it in there. And what that does, that adds you to my list. Then you'll email me your access code, and then I'll plug your access code in. Now, I've done it, I've set up folders also by department, groups by departments. So what'll happen is once you get in, like ROTC, I'll give you that access code, and then that puts just the ROTC people in the group. And then just the English people will be in a group, and just the math people will be in a group. So you'll have my code you need to input, you'll send me your code, and then I'll give you the code for your group, for your department group. Now, when you get to doing classes, that's a little bit different. I did one course, instruction, and I kind of put the things there. My Schoology instruction was the only course that I could do. And then, you know, what you would do is you would give it to your students, you would create a course, you would create an account with your students, and then you would give them the access code to your one course. So all they can see is, if they have you for math, all they can see is their class. And then when each student logs in, they'll get an access code that they give their parents. And when their parents join and log in, then they can see their students. They can only see their students' work. So again, the whole key is us updating. Okay, is us keeping the word God.
Do you want us to do it by class or by course?
You have to do it by class, like first through sixth period. You do it by class, and then you're registering your children, your students for that one specific class. Now, as you get deep into this, like when we talking about ticket out the doors or formative assessments, you can create your own test, you can upload the test right into it, and then you put the answers in, and you tell it whether you want it to be a true, false, multiple choice, response, or whatever, and you put it in and it grades it for you. Then it gives you an analysis so you can see, when you talk about differentiation, who has it and who doesn't. But I invite you to just go in and play with it. I've been playing with it and just, I mean, it has those tutorials, the emails I sent you at the bottom. Anything you want to do is about a 3 or 4 minute, 5 minute tutorial. It'll take you through it. Setting up classes, test quiz. Yes, sir.
As far as communicating with parents and teachers, announcements about tests and assignments, you want us to use this in lieu of Remind?
Right.
We're not going to use Remind.
Not going to use Remind 101.
Okay.
This will automatically communicate with parents, students, and me and the other administrators and stuff like that. That's why it was so intriguing to me. I was thinking of all the things that we do individually that we can put it in one management system and still get done what we need to do. And the biggest thing the biggest requirement from you is what you always do, is upload the stuff. We always upload into something, whether it's Dropbox, whether it's Google, but now we've got one system that we can upload the stuff in. If a kid, my requirement for this from you all is just putting the information in. As far as using it for instruction, you can look at it and make that decision on how much you want to use for instruction. My thing is, for me, at this beginning level, I want to have that management system where if a student is absent, long term, they can go in there and get the information. Now, how much you want to use it as far as getting into teaching the class, it has all kind of resources, you can connect with each other, and as y'all play with it, y'all will see.
So, like, basically, I know having to communicate extracurricular wise with all mine, you could do an access code, and I could put like my football team
Absolutely.
could have an access code to get into this thing.
You can make a separate group, now be careful with the groups. Don't get the groups like make a special group for students. Don't give them the same code that you're gonna be talking to teachers with or talking to me with. You wanna make a separate group for students, and then you give them that access code, and that's the only thing that they see.
Coach, a separate group or separate class?
Separate group. I'm talking about groups now. I'm talking about in communicating with the people, because you got courses and you got groups.
Dr. Gray.
Sir.
If you go to mine, you can see the class is already set up.
Oh, you said coursework? Okay. There you go. See, now, Mr. Powell has already set his courses up, and I think Ms. Lemon has too. And then each one of these courses have an access code. So Alan Gray is in your first period class, that's the only access code I'm gonna give him. All right? Or I'm gonna let them type in, don't give it to them because they'll be swapping them. We gotta control these access codes, all right? So if I'm in that class, we can take time, even if we have to take them to the lab or get iPads and walk around and type it in, and then, and then that'll be the only class that I can see. And then if I build a group for my first period class, and I give them the access code for that group, then the comments, that's the only thing that they can see. So when I'm talking to them, and things like that, that's just like my group that I have.
Is there a way to delete someone?
Yes, ma'am. There's a way to delete, like see this little arrow right here?
Yes, sir.
And I drop down, there's delete right there. And also, if somebody illegally joins your group, like I just said, kids be swapping code, but if I type into your 5th period class, you're gonna get an email saying I joined it. You see what I'm saying? So they can't you know, we'll get an email saying that someone has joined our class. So if I'm a 4th period teacher and Scott's in my 5th period class and it says Scott has joined my 1st period class, then me and Scott got a problem. Okay? Yes, sir.
Like with tests and stuff like that kind of, first of all, I mean, anything that says free kind of makes me give me the heebie-jeebies. But,
well, let me tell you this, there's a part you can pay for too. We're just gonna use the free version right now.
Like with tests and stuff, what's scared, I mean, until you play with it enough, but if I put a test on that computer, what kind of access will other people have to it? Like if I have students out for 3 or 4 days and that test on there, will they have access to it?
You can hide it. You can put a due date on it. You can hide it. You can take it down. So you have all of that flexibility. You can do it for that one student. You can do a quiz on there. You can do a quiz on there, and you can make it so the kids can do the quiz over and over again, and then when they pass the quiz, it'll open the test for them.
Dr. Gray, I think with like that test, you can assign it to which students that need to make it up.
That's right. You can assign it to specific students as well.
And it has like a due date, and they don't do it by a certain date, it automatically pulls it off.
And the other question I have with any kind of thing is how reliable are the people that you're dealing with on the other side, like the company that's producing this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like buying a brand new car from a brand new manufacturer the first year it comes out.
I have no idea. I know it's been around since 2009, and I mean, to me, it's no different than uploading in Dropbox, to be honest with you. Because they have, this is one, you have Emoto that we've used before, that's one, Google, whatever is one. It's just that this one does more. So it's still one of those databases that we always use. This just does more for us.
Speaking of Dropbox, we still
you know, we have to, the thing that we have to do in Dropbox is lesson plans, right?
Yeah,
Because that's for SACs.
Gotcha.
Okay? So the thing we have to do in Dropbox is lesson. I know Ms. Lemon has hers, but she created some folders. I'm still, Maybe orientation, right? Oh yeah, okay. Like here's Ms. Lemon. She's put all her classes in. She's put all her classes in. And then when you type on, and this is what I can see. And here, she's put her syllabus here, and she put her weekly lesson plan. So we do that. You don't have to put it on the wall no more. Because when I walk in your room as a walkthrough, I'll pull that up on School. If I want to see a lesson plan, I click on that, and there it is. And your course syllabus. So now we don't have to worry about putting it on the wall.
Now, there is a shortcut in case some of y'all are wondering, like, oh, I got to go and do this for every single class. If you hit the drop down, you can't copy everything. It'll copy over to the classes that you select to copy.
And so we got, like, I know Jessica used it as a student. Ms. Lemon, you've used it as a student and a teacher, right? So they're our resident expert. Lindsay, have you ever used it before? So we got some young, you know, when Don was talking about, we got these young, they were telling me what to do when we were in there, and you see some of them that went on ahead and ran with it. But what I like us to do, we'll do that after lunch. Well, somebody said yeah. But what I like to do after lunch, you got a question, go sir. What we'll do after lunch, I like for us to meet in the computer labs so we can get everybody signed up and show you how to get signed up. And I'll have my resident experts dispatched into the different labs to help you with any questions that you may have. But those tutorials are really good. That's the only way that because I don't know nothing about Facebook, but it will take you step by step through it. But again, my objective is to meet those, is to use this tool to meet those 10 standards that's required for TEAS. Is to have students where homework is, that stuff is already on there. If they go to ISS, long-term absence or homebound, and of course we'll be trained on it. We have to train our kids on how to use it and what to look for. Can I get a commitment from you all if I do away with all that other stuff? Can I get a commitment from you all to keep this Schoology account updated and to load that work? That's what I need from you all. And my trade-off on that is we'll do away with the stuff I mentioned earlier. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
All right. That's from everybody? Yeah. All right. I don't want you to talk about, I ain't shaking my head. All right. So what we'll do is
Yeah, right.
all right. So at 1:30, after lunch, let's just meet down at the computer.